Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today, a lot of us think that being healthy is expensive. Between collagen smoothies, everyone aesthetics, and expensive gym memberships, it can feel like wellness is only for the rich. But in reality, true health is built from small, consistent, budget-friendly habits. Also, if you want to actually implement all of those habits in your own life, I made something special just for you. It's called your Wellness Reset Tracker and it's completely free. And because I'm a little crazy, I made it for Canva and also for Notion, completely for free for you guys. The tracker is broken down into the same 4 key areas we'll be talking about today: your sleep, your stress, your nutrition, and your exercise. So if you want to get the tracker, you can do it completely for free by clicking the link in my description and then sharing your email address with me. I'll send it to your inbox and I will also add you to my weekly newsletter called Veronika's Weekly Vibes. And before we get into the 4 key areas of health, I first want to share something that's been such a cozy and creative addition to my own routine lately. This part of the video is sponsored by Craftsy, an online community where you can pretty much learn any creative skill from friendly, expert instructors. Craftsy offers over 2,000 classes in categories like painting, cake decorating, sewing, knitting, journaling, photography, and even yoga. Whether you're into hands-on crafts or just looking for a mindful hobby, there is something for everyone. And the classes are broken into short, easy to follow lessons, which makes them super beginner friendly. One class I absolutely loved and think you'll really appreciate, especially if you've been feeling overwhelmed, is called Food Function Flow Stress Workshop. It gives you the super practical and holistic approach to managing stress. There's a whole section on food and cooking, how to make healthy meals less stressful by learning basic formulas and techniques that make dinner feel easy. It's not just theory, it's things that you can actually use today. There are also other classes like learning to crochet different flowers and knitting with just your arms and fingers instead of traditional knitting needles. Craftsy is constantly adding new classes and offering live streaming workshops, so as a member, you're always learning and connecting with other creative, like-minded people. Right now, the first 1,000 of you to join using the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on the screen can get a full year of premium Craftsy membership for only $1.49. It's for new members only, so don't miss it. Okay, so let's get into the very first wellness pillar: your sleep. First habit I want to share with you guys is prioritizing your sleep as a non-negotiable. Sleep is so freaking important, especially for women. And the craziest part is that women are usually the ones who tend to struggle with sleep more than men. As a woman, when you're on your period or right before your period in your luteal phase, you might even need more sleep. 9 hours of sleep, 10 hours of sleep, that is absolutely okay. You guys probably know that what I use to track my sleep is my trusted Oura ring. I've had it for the last 6 months now and I really like it. I like the fact that I can connect my Oura ring app to my Natural Cycles app. That is the app I use to track my cycle, to see all of my temperature trends, and so I really like that I can connect these 2 apps together and see all of this data. So girls, if there are days when you're just not feeling it, when you need more rest, when you need more sleep, it doesn't mean you're lazy. It's basic biology. Your body just needs more sleep and that is absolutely okay. As a woman, I realized that my hormonal health is so important. And I actually had an IUD once for like 4 or 5 months and it was an interesting experience because I really wanted to get a birth control system that was a little bit more permanent, and so that's why I opted for an IUD. But unfortunately, in my case, it caused terrible cramping. I just did not feel good mentally because my IUD was progesterone only. I would say that I just felt flat. Like, I didn't feel extremely sad, but I also didn't feel extremely happy. Like, I would wake up in the morning and instead of feeling energized and ready for the day, I just felt nothing, like absolutely nothing. After they removed it, I got terrible acne, like obviously not immediately, but probably after a few weeks I started getting really bad acne. So that is why right now everything that I can do to take care of my hormonal health I do that. If it means that I have to prioritize my sleep as a non-negotiable, such a simple thing you can do, it's absolutely free. Sign me up. The second habit here I want to talk about is using the 3-2-1 rule before bed. So 3 hours before bed, you stop eating, no food. 2 hours before bed, you stop drinking any liquids, and 1 hour before bed, no screens. And I think this is probably the hardest thing to do for most people. But the reason why this rule exists and the reason why it's so important is because it helps us lower our heart rate. It helps us get more deep and REM sleep. If you're really into numbers, just like I am, of course you can get all of those trackers. If you have an Apple Watch, like any kind of wrist tracker to help you track your sleep, or maybe an Oura ring, that is what I use. But honestly, if you just follow this rule without using any trackers, your sleep will improve because you are going to get more deep and REM sleep. When I have a very late dinner and then I spend like an hour on social media before going to bed, my heart rate is always increased. Like I can feel it. You know, when I actually lay down in bed, I can feel that I'm overstimulated. And so what decreases my heart rate before bed is usually something super simple. It's reading a very calming book, something that I know I'm gonna enjoy. Sometimes it's doing breath work, sometimes it's just journaling something in my notebook. And the app that I personally use for meditation and breath work is Headspace. From what I remember, the subscription to this app is not too expensive at all. But if you don't want to pay for anything, you can always use YouTube, because on YouTube there's so many meditations or maybe yoga practices before going to bed. And actually the most effective thing I have found is talking to my husband before going to bed. Just sharing all of my thoughts with him, like my work day, everything. It really helps me calm down my nervous system. And so that is how we move on to habit number 3, making your bed a phone-free zone. Just your bed, maybe not the whole bedroom, because I understand that a lot of people work in their bedrooms. The reason why for me it's sometimes hard to keep my bed this phone-free zone is because right before going to sleep, I have so many different thoughts in my head. And so that is why what I do to help myself here, I just brain dump all of my thoughts on paper before I go to sleep. And the 2 journals that I usually use are these. This one, it's just a very simple notebook by the brand Moleskine, I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's a lined notebook, looks like this, and I just pretty much write all of my thoughts, all of my ideas, brain dump absolutely everything, so that I feel like my brain is empty, like absolutely empty. I don't have any more ideas. I can calmly go to bed now. And what helps me feel calm and at peace when I actually go to sleep is doing this journal. It's called a 5-minute journal. Mine is in Spanish. From what I remember, they have this journal in so many different languages. The brand is Intelligent Change, and I highly recommend it. Also, to stop using your phone, you need to increase friction, because obviously using your phone is really nice. It's very entertaining. I get it. I use this feature where my screen turns orange, extremely orange at sunset, like every single day at sunset. I know that a lot of people also use this black and white feature, or maybe even make their phone screen red, like absolutely not appealing for their eyes at all. And also obviously trying to reduce the blue light as much as possible. Another thing I use, something that I changed very recently, because I used to have this excuse, I need my phone as my alarm. And so that is why right now I have a real alarm clock. I checked it multiple times, it works, so I don't need to use my phone anymore. Okay, let's now move on to pillar number 2, stress management. And for me, the principle that I follow here is if I don't structure my day, my stress structures me. First habit that I have here that is going to be our habit number 4 overall is setting tech intentions. We doom scroll because We don't know what we want to do. So that is why before I open a social media app right now, I have to say to myself out loud why I'm opening the social media app for. If I don't know what I want to watch on YouTube, what I want to check on Instagram, I don't open the app at all. If I can't articulate the reason, and the reason can be doom scrolling, I'm not going to open the app because I'm so sick and tired of being constantly sucked into this hole of doom scrolling. It doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel extremely anxious. This FOMO that I'm experiencing is super duper high and super duper strong, so I need to stop doing that. For example, in my case, I am a creator. I make content on social media for a living. And I also have friends who post on social media. I follow some influencers who I still want to see, like I want to see their content. And so I don't want to delete social media. I like using social media. And so that is why I'm trying to prevent doom scrolling while still allowing myself to use social media with more intention. On YouTube, for example, what I started doing is I basically create a queue. I find this process to be so much better because I watch YouTube again with intention now. The same thing for Instagram. The most important thing is to add intention into your social media experiences. And when it comes to my work, what I'm trying to do right now is when it's lunchtime, I have to close my laptop and go eat without my phone, without my laptop. Because again, in the past, I would often eat in front of my laptop while doing something for my work, and my nervous system would suffer so much. I would not give myself a break to literally eat and process that I am eating right now. The next habit I want to talk about here, habit number 5, is creating a real time in nature. I have found that when I spend time in nature next to the ocean, when I'm going on a hike, when I am in the park, it doesn't have to be something super complicated, it really helps me calm down my nervous system. And the key here for me is to actually be present. When you spend time in nature, you're not trying to take as many pictures, as many videos as possible. You're trying to forget that your phone actually exists. Moving on to habit number 6, building your social circle. So when it comes to your social life, we can talk about a lot of different things. We can talk about protecting your peace from toxic people, toxic relationships, and we can also talk about expanding your circle and making connections and friendships that last. And yes, I'm no different. In the past, I struggled so much with my anxious attachment style, with my self-esteem, the way I chose guys to date. I would choose someone who was avoidant, who didn't actually want to be in a relationship, and all of that just caused a lot of chaos. But unfortunately for me, in my quest of protecting my peace, something very interesting started to happen. I stopped prioritizing my social life at all, and yes, for some time it kind of worked, but when I moved abroad, that part of my identity got tested so much, and I felt extremely lonely because I had absolutely no one to rely on. I felt like I had to start everything from scratch, like building all of the social connections and meeting people and making friends. It was honestly terrifying. Okay guys, let's move on to our pillar number 3, which is nutrition. Not a lot of people talk about fiber and your gut health, even though those two things are so important. That is why my habit number 7 is going to be ditch alcohol and smoking. Let me tell you, I loved wine, but every time I drank just one glass, my Oura ring showed terrible sleep. Yes, maybe alcohol can help you fall asleep faster, but in reality, what it is doing is interrupting your sleep cycles while you're asleep, especially those deep and REM phases, which are so important. Alcohol and smoking are also absolutely horrible for your gut health. They increase inflammation. I mean, I really hope I don't need to list all of the negative effects of alcohol, especially smoking. I really hope you guys know all of that already. When I was trying to build my social circle, I would often go to some events and bars and restaurants, and obviously in those places, people usually drink alcohol because those habits are often very social. But what I'm proposing here is creating new environments, like new social settings. Instead of going to a bar to meet new people, maybe you can go on a hike, like join a group where people all get together to go on a hike and go with them. Go do yoga with a group of people, or maybe join a running club. There are so many ways to get what you actually want to get, like new friends, without ruining your health. This idea comes from the book Atomic Habits. You have to be in an environment where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. Using simple words, if you want to become a runner, you have to be in an environment where running is normal. And so probably it's going to be a running club. If you join a group of people for whom running and then signing up for races, running 5Ks, 10Ks, half a marathon is completely normal, you are going to become a runner because you are surrounded by those people who are runners. And obviously the same principle works for bad habits. That is why a lot of people who smoke, they say that they smoke because their friends smoke. And I'm not saying you have to stop hanging out with your friends. Maybe create new environments where you guys hang out and do something else. Like if you actually go on a run together, I doubt people are gonna smoke there. Alright, let's move on to habit number 8, which is eat whole one ingredient foods. What I think we should do here is we should start looking at food as more than just calories. You know, this obsession with counting calories, with making sure you get enough protein. Guys, most of you are getting enough protein. I focus my diet on simple foods that exist in nature. Dark leafy greens, legumes, fruits, and grains. I try to make my meals as colorful as possible, and I make sure they're nutrient dense. Because food is not just calories, it's nourishment for your gut and for all the bugs that live in your gut. Taking care of your microbiome, of your gut health is so important, and it's so cheap to do. Like, you don't have to buy all of those super expensive powders like collagen powder. Some of you guys probably know that I am vegan. I have been vegan for so many years now. I would say, I don't know, 6-7 years. And I understand that becoming vegan is not realistic for most people, even though I would want most people in the world to become vegan. And that is why I'm naming this habit Eat Whole one ingredient foods. When people start focusing on whole foods instead of packaged, highly processed, ultra processed foods, their health improves significantly. And I'm not gonna say that being vegan is the healthiest diet in the world. First of all, being vegan is a lifestyle. You're making this conscious choice because of ethics, and diet is just a continuation of it. That is why you can be vegan and you can be healthy, you can be vegan and you can be unhealthy. For example, you can rely heavily on vegan cheese, on mock meats, like vegan meat. Oreos are vegan as well, but they're not whole foods. They're not whole ingredients. And that is why I, as a vegan, don't center my diet around all of these things. You know, focusing on whole foods, on one ingredient foods is actually so much cheaper than eating all of the junk, all of the highly processed foods. Seasonal fruits and vegetables are usually cheaper and way more nutritious. You can buy dry beans, lentils, and grains in bulk. This is something that I do, and it is extremely cheap. The app that I use to meal plan, to search for recipes, is called Pick Up Limes. They have a website, they also have a YouTube channel, they have an amazing app. It looks absolutely incredible. You can make very cheap and very simple meals that are going to be focused on whole foods. And another app I use that is actually free is called The Daily Dozen by Dr. Greger, and I actually read a lot of his books: How Not to Die, How Not to Diet, How Not to Age, and I cannot recommend his books enough. They're truly amazing, packed with research. His app helps me track the healthy stuff like berries, cruciferous vegetables, and water. You can also track the supplements you're taking. I believe B12 is available there. All the healthy things that you need to be tracking when it comes to your food, this app offers absolutely for free. And now let's talk about habit number 9. Food first, supplements second. I know right now supplements are incredibly trendy. A lot of celebrities have their own supplements, they're selling all of this, and a lot of people buy those things because they want to be like them. It's such a big industry. It's like a money-making machine. But the truth is, a lot of those supplements aren't necessary, and you can only know which supplements are necessary for you if you go and take a blood test. Because it's one thing, spending a lot of money and taking all of those unnecessary supplements and that's it. But a completely different thing when some of those supplements can actually be dangerous if you take too much. For example, vitamin D is like that. If you take too much of vitamin D, it can actually be a little bad for you. And so that is why I check my blood every 6 months if I have any deficits, if I don't, every year, because I want to make sure I'm not just wasting my money on unnecessary supplements. And I also want to make sure that my levels are not too high. And when they are getting high, I stop supplementing. For example, as a vegan, one supplement that you have to take is vitamin B12. And a few months ago, I went to check my levels, and my levels of the vitamin B12 were way too high, and I actually had to stop supplementing. And so that is why I always urge you guys to check your levels first before popping a pill. And finally, let's talk about pillar number 3, exercise. And our final habit number 10, is strength, mobility, and cardiovascular health. So when it comes to your fitness routine, these are the 3 areas you kind of need to focus on. Your strength, basically protecting your bones with weight-bearing movement, because women tend to lose muscle with age, especially after menopause. And I actually did a very interesting thing a year ago. I decided to take a DEXA scan. A DEXA scan is basically a super precise low radiation X-ray test that is used to measure 3 main things: your bone density, your muscle mass, and your body fat percentage. It's a really great tool for checking your bone health as you age, for making sure you're building or at least not losing muscle over time. And it's way more accurate than scales or body fat calculators. And the reason why I decided to do it is because around a year ago, I broke my bone in my foot. Everything was okay, like the test didn't show anything super bad, but something that this test helped me to see is that my muscle versus body fat percentage was not something that I expected it to be. Like at the time when I took the test, I was barely exercising, especially when it came to weight-bearing movement, to strengthening my muscles and my bones. It was just not something that I was doing. I looked skinny, but my muscle mass could definitely be improved, and it was kind of like a wake-up call for me. I have discovered a different approach for myself, something that really works for my schedule, something that works for me, and that is doing yoga and bouldering. And to be honest with you guys, the yoga that I do, it's not easy at all. Like, I'm actually working on building muscle. I am working on weight-bearing movement where the weight is my body weight. I also do bouldering, which is literally the perfect definition of being able to hold your own body weight. And obviously that is also how I work on the second part of the fitness routine, which is my mobility. Yoga is also all about flexibility, helping me become more flexible. And for my cardiovascular health, what I do is I swim. I used to run a lot. I still like running, but I think when I was preparing for a marathon and then for half a marathon, this process really tired me out. I think the marathon in itself wasn't the problem. My system, my routine of how I was preparing for the marathon was the problem, because I wasn't listening to my body. I wasn't structuring my routine around my energy levels, around my female biology. Obviously, if you don't like swimming, you can run, you can hike, you can dance, everything that is going to get your heart rate up. Maybe it's going to be walking when you walk briskly. Okay guys, so I think it's going to be it for today's video. I really hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I really hope that what is going to make the process super easy for you is my wellness reset tracker. It's completely free. You can get it for Canva or for Notion or for both. You can use the link in the description and I'll send you all the information. As a reminder, if you guys want to learn something new, start a creative hobby, hobby, I highly recommend Craftsy. You can get a full year of Craftsy Premium for only $1.49 by using the link in the description or scanning this QR code. In this video, I said that the first pillar of my health is sleep. So if you guys want to see my morning routine, all the habits that help me get through the morning successfully, reclaim my time, and not feel anxious, I highly recommend checking out this video right here. Just click right here and keep on watching.